Hi guys, and welcome back to the Pipex YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 useful tips for importing a DWG file into Revit. Before we jump into Revit, I want to quickly show you the DWG files I'm planning to use in this example. As you can see, these are very simple drawings with only one layer. Let's open Revit. When it comes to importing a DWG file into Revit, there are two main options: Manage Links and Import CAD. With Manage Links, Revit remembers the path of a file, and it is possible to reload, unload, or reload the file from a different location. This is very useful when you want to manage several DWG files in a project. With Import CAD, the DWG is inserted directly into the project and becomes a permanent part of it. You cannot manage it later in the same flexible way as a linked file. So, this is my tip number 1. If you want more control, use Manage Links. If you want to place a file directly and keep it there, use Import CAD. Let's see what are the possibilities of importing a DWG using Managed Links. I will select a DWG I want to insert. Here we have some import settings. For example, it is possible to preserve, invert colors or make them black and white. Then you can load all layers or specify only a few layers you need to load. Import units. It is an important setting that you need to pay attention to. Of course, you can use auto detect option, but I personally prefer to specify the import unit myself. So for this DWG, I will select meters. It is very important to set correct units because otherwise your DWG won't be imported correctly. Positioning. Here you have a few options. I recommend to use origin to internal origin, so simply use the default setting. And you can specify the level where your DWG will be placed. Only level 1 is available now, so I'll keep this level and click on Open. The link has been loaded. Let's see what we have in the project view. This is our DWG file. It was successfully loaded into the project. Now let's see what happens if I unload this link. I will select the file from the list. Normally you see all the links loaded that were loaded into the project. You can select one link and click on Unload. Let's see what happens. The drawing disappeared from the project view. Now we can select this file again and click on Reload. And the DWG becomes visible in the project view. Let's see what happens if I move my DWG into a different folder. I previously mentioned that it is possible to reload the link from a different location. So now I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. First, I will unload this link and move the file into a different folder. If I go to Manage Links now and try to reload this file, we're getting the error that the file could not be located. So now I can right-click on this file and reload from. Here I need to point Revit to the new location of the file. I know that my file is in this folder, so I'll select it and click on Open. And now the file is visible in the project view again. So if you move the DWG file from one folder to another, you don't need to link it from scratch again. You just tell Revit where the file is now, and it updates the link. Tip number 2. Use import CAD when you need manual placement. This option is really better if you want to place the drawing manually, or when you know that you won't need to remove or reload it later. So I'll select my file and look at the positioning options. I'll tell Revit that I want to place this drawing manually, and here we have two options: manual origin and manual center. With manual origin, you place the origin point of the drawing yourself. With manual center, you place the center of the drawing. I will select manual origin, place it at level 1, leave all other settings the way they are, and click on Open. I can place the drawing anywhere in the view using my mouse cursor. This can be useful, for example, if you are working on an elevation and want to place entourage or other graphic elements where exact positioning is not that important. But for precise technical placement, I would recommend using auto positioning instead of manual placement. And, by the way, auto positioning is available in both Manage Links and Import CAD. Tip number 3. Always check the level before importing a DWG file. Now let's talk about levels. When importing or linking a DWG, you need to pay attention to the level where the file is placed. For example, if I'm in the floor plan of the level 1, like in this example, only level 1 will be available for placement. But let's see what options I have if I go into a 3D view. Now all levels existing in the project are available. So I can place a DWG at the level 2, 3 or 4, wherever I want. So if your project has several levels, those levels will also appear in the list, even if they don't have yet a floor plan view created for them. This means that a DWG can be imported onto a level that does exist in the model, but currently has no view in the project browser. You can also choose between all available levels in the project if you import a DWG file from the highest relevant level in your project. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll go to the floor plan of the level 4, and from here I will try to import a DWG. I select the file I'm interested in, and you see that again all levels are available. I can choose any of the levels existing in the project. So I can select level 2, for example. I will tell Revit that I want it to be placed origin to internal origin. Open. We're getting the arrow that none of the elements are visible in the current project view. If we now go into a 3D view, for example, we can confirm that a DWG was successfully loaded and placed at level 2. You can also see it in the file's properties. Work plane is level 2. Alright. I could also go to the floor plan of the second level, and here it is, our DWG file. So in general, before importing a DWG, I would recommend going either to a 3D view, an elevation, or to the highest relevant level in your project. This gives you better control over where the file is inserted. And this is important if you don't want your DWG to accidentally end up on the wrong level. Tip 4. Understand how visibility depends on the level. Let's say I import a DWG onto level 3. As you can see, there are currently no floor plans or ceiling plans for this level in the project browser. But it doesn't mean you cannot import a DWG on this level. So let's try to import a DWG from level 4. Change import units to millimeters, use auto positioning, and tell Revit that I want this file to be placed at level 3. Though no views currently exist for this level in the project, I will click Open. We're getting the warning that none of the created elements are visible in floor plan 4. So now I can go to View, Plan Views, and create a floor plan for level 3. Once the plan was created, it opened automatically. And you see that our DWG file was successfully imported. So if your DWG seems to disappear, first check two things: the level it was placed on and whether a corresponding view exists in the project. Very often the file is there, it is just not visible in the current view. Tip number 5: use current view only option when you want view-specific graphics. So let's look at another very useful option now: current view only. When this option is enabled, a DWG is imported only into the current view. It will not appear in any other views of the project, and also not in the views that you might create in the future. So now I'm going to import a DWG in the east elevation with current view only checked. So I want this DWG to be only visible in the east elevation and not appear in the north, south or west elevations. It also won't show up in any other views of the project. Using current view only, you need to keep in mind that if this option is enabled, you can no longer specify the level of placement. So in this case, level-based placement is no longer the main controlling factor. This drawing will be tied to the specific view instead. I click on Open, and you see that we can place our tree wherever we want in the east elevation. Let's check whether we can see this DWG in other elevations of the project. I'll go to the north elevation, south elevation, west. This DWG is only visible in this specific view. So it's exactly what we wanted. This can be very helpful if you want to use a DWG as a temporary reference, a background drawing, or some kind of graphic support in just one view. So those were my 5 tips for importing a DWG file into Revit. First, use Manage Links when you want flexibility and file path control. Second, use Import CAD when you need manual placement and don't plan to remove the DWG later. Third, always check the level of the current view before importing. Fourth, remember that visibility depends on the level and available views. And last but not least, use current view only option when the DWG should appear in just one view. As always, I hope you liked this video and see you in the next one.